Cannabis Common Sense, the show that tells the truth about marijuana and the politics behind its prohibition.
Wow, look at this. It's a marijuana patch. Growing wild. Oh, who do we have in the marijuana patch but Jack Harrer and Ed Adair?
Well, hi, guys.
They must be on the hemp tour. Are you on the hemp tour, guys?
We're on the hemp tour. Yeah.
We've got hemp.
Growing wild. Look at this, folks. Look at this. This is hemp. This is hemp. None of this is female, though. This is all male. Look at this. Look at the seeds.
It's sitting here. This is organic matter.
I can't look at it even?
Oh, shit, really. Look at it.
This is hemp land. We're going into hemp. Going into the hemp. Yes. We're inside of the hemp now. This is hemp. We're inside hemp. About 10 or 12 feet. See, look. See? This is the sky. Look at this great background. This is natural wild hemp.
You think you're going to succeed?
Oh, yeah. Why don't you? Nobody can beat the truth. Can anybody beat the truth?
Absolutely not.
No, absolutely
No
not.
way, man.
This man and I have been out there telling the truth, and nobody's ever said we're wrong. They keep arresting us 33 times. They have beaten us in jails. They have done physical things to me. I'm not going to describe on this air, but there's nothing that can beat a fact. And there's no, and I don't care how popular a president thinks he is. When people realize that he's killed off a planet and he's killed off the knowledge of a planet, and he's allowed millions of people to die prematurely and in pain and in misery, and has ruined the quality of life that can be gotten with a good, simple medicine that never killed anybody except at the hands of bad public policy and police carrying out bad public policy with a vengeance.
What we've got here, the first thing I should show you is this shirt. This is made of hemp with a blend with cotton. This is a 55% hemp, 45% cotton. It's
That's made of hemp, 55% hemp?
Correct. It lasts longer. It's 26% more water absorbent. It's more insulative, and it's much stronger than regular cotton would be.
Wow.
In the foreground here, I've got 3 pieces of paper. One of them, this is like a parchment style paper here. This is what your Declaration of Independence and Constitution were originally written on, a paper similar to quality as this. This is a filtration paper here, tea bags, things that you need to have stay strong when it's wet, because hemp fiber is strong. It doesn't lose that when it's in water. This in the middle is a, looks like a newsprint type of a paper. It's a pulp type of paper. And
it's made of hemp, huh?
Correct.
Did they use this back in the early days? You know, like around Constitution time or something?
Yeah, well, they didn't use this. This is a pulp paper. They use more like this, the fiber paper that's...
And they wrote on it?
Manuscript paper.
Daily?
Correct. Right. Now, over here we have some seed. This is used as bird seed right now.
Yeah, get the birds high, right?
Yeah, it's called Happy Bird. Actually, birds sing better because when they use it, we don't know if it's, there's very little THC in there. It seems to be because it moistens their throat, because it has a lot of oil. In fact, it's 30% oil. And right next to it here we have some hair gel. This is made from hemp oil, and it's also got some herbs in it, some of the herbal hemp in it. Now, moving forward a little further, we see some other products that are made from the seed. When the seed is crushed, it produces oils and a high protein powder here, which is called seed cake. This is more nutritional than any other thing that we know of, excepting for soya. And in terms of digestibility, it's more digestible than soya. So it actually, when you look at parts of the world like northern Africa and Bangladesh and these areas where there's a lot massive starvation, a lot of that is a result of international laws that are preventing them from growing hemp for use as a food supply, which it has been for thousands of years for these countries.
No, really?
Yes, exactly. The law is the Single Convention Treaty of 1961 by the United Nations, and you notice that the big periods of starvation began in the mid-60s, late 60s, and continue on to today. Within 10 years of banning hemp, starvation became part of the norm for these parts of the world.
Wow.
Now, these 2 pieces of oil, samples of oil, this is a raw oil. You see it's got a little brownish color similar to the seed itself. This, on the other hand, has been distilled, and so it's cleaner looking. You can make anything from machine oil to cooking oil out of these.
Wow.
These are all fibers from the plant. This is a rather raw fiber. This is called a tow line. Both of these are from Russian hemp.
Russian hemp?
Right. Now, this string here and this rope, they're both from Hungarian hemp. This has been made into a bag here through a macrame process. They've wrapped it up. Here's a pot holder made out of it, your balls of twine, this tea bag back in here, and it swings us right back down to the plant from which all these products can be made.
Wow. Okay, now if you can make all these things, that sounds grand, right? But aren't you going to have a problem with like re-educating and retooling the market for people learning how to work with hemp and construct with it? I mean, we know that to loom with cotton, you use, you know, different type, a little bit different type loom than you do with hemp. If you're going to have your car running around, running on methanol, right? Or is it methane?
Well, methanol.
Methanol.
Yeah. Methane would replace natural gas.
Okay, methanol. Then it means you got to turn the whole car over, turn the whole industry over, right?
Not really. One of the strong points about it is it's a big incentive because there's billions and trillions of dollars of profit that can be generated, and very little retooling is actually required. For example, the car needs a conversion unit, and then it can run on the methanol. But you wouldn't have to, for example, if you tried to make a hydrogen-powered car, you're talking about some major retooling. With a methanol-powered car, it's just a matter of one new part that needs to be put in to make it more workable.
Are there any other plants that can make all these things and can do all these things?
There are plants that can be used to do different parts of it, but as far as doing all of them, that's another matter. I wanted to get back to the other question about the retooling, though, because, for example, that's why they have the cotton blended in with the hemp here, because the looms are set up for a short fiber like cotton, and hemp has a long fiber, and so in order to make it work, all they did was blend it with the cotton, and they'll still get a lot of the benefits of the hemp, but without having to do the retooling that would otherwise have been required. You can make the oil, for example, is similar in quality to that made from jojoba plants. However, that's all you can make from jojoba, and it's a desert plant. It takes a long time to grow. Hemp grows copiously throughout the world. That's why we have these massive eradication programs, because it produces so much, and it can grow anywhere in the continental United States. Paper and fiber can be made out of things like canaf, or sugar cane can be used for making paper, for example, if you live in the tropics.
But what you're saying,
we don't live in the tropics.
What you're saying is there's only one plant that you know of that can do all of these things in all of the climates.
There's a lot of plants that can do one or the other of these things, but there's only one that can do it all and produce the amount of volume. If you want to go for fuel production, for example, that's going to take tons and tons of biomass. There's no plant that can do that on the continental United States excepting for hemp to produce a volume. Corn produces 1/10 as much.
Okay.
Cannabis sativa is one of the most ancient plants cultivated by mankind. Hemp processing was already developed in China 8,000 years before Christ was born. Hemp was first harvested for its seeds, a rich source of amino acids used for food. Then it was discovered that by breaking the stalks, they could use the fibers to make paper, as well as fishing nets and up to 5,000 hemp-related products, including, of course, textiles. The ancient Chinese called their country the land of hemp and mulberry. Mulberry leaves were used to feed silkworms, from which was produced the precious silk that only the rich and powerful could afford. Everyone else wore hemp clothing. Hemp is called ma by the Chinese, literally meaning plant with two forms, male and female. Hemp was also the first crop to be grown for use in war. The Chinese had originally used bamboo to make bowstrings. Then they discovered that the hemp fiber was stronger and lasted longer. Imperial decrees ordered that certain areas of the land would be exclusively used to grow hemp. An ancient legend says that hemp paper was discovered by Sai Lun, a scribe and eunuch of the imperial court. To publicize his discovery, Sai Lun pretended to die. He ordered that hemp paper should be burnt around his coffin. Then he arranged his own apparent resurrection and attributed it to the properties of his new invention. Ever since, hemp has been an integral part of the Chinese funeral ceremony known as Wu Fu, or the 5 levels of mourning. This code lays down, among other things, that the family wear different hemp clothes corresponding to their relation with the deceased. The Chinese jealously kept the secret of papermaking for centuries. It wasn't until the 5th century that this knowledge was passed on to other countries, finally appearing in Europe in the 8th century.
You have some gravy in your face. This is Wavy Gravy, your basic psychedelic relic and temple of accumulated error. And your name is, sir?
Casper Leach.
Yes, Casper, and what do you want?
This show.
And this show is?
Time for him.
Ta-da-da-da-da! Give me an H!
A.
Give me an E!
E.
Give me an M!
L.
Give me a P!
P.
A P is a
today we have a marvelous clown on our show, Wavy Gravy.
I remember Woodstock. I remember Woodstock. It seemed like it was almost good.
Think hard. Think hard.
Thinking gets in the way of thought. Never forget that.
Wasn't that a campaign promise that you made when you were running for, or were you running for president?
My chromosomes have amnesia. No, I work for nobody. I'm with the Nobody for President campaign because I believe nobody's perfect. Nobody keeps all campaign promises. Nobody knows you when you're down and out. Nobody bakes apple pie better than mom, and nobody should have that much power. If nobody wins, nobody loses. It's a pair of ducks. I work for nobody. I'm nobody's fool. Who you voting for? Who lowered your taxes?
Nobody.
Who legalized marijuana?
Nobody.
All right. Need I say more?
Let's put him in office.
Or her. Watch that sexist talk. I'm from Berkeley.
Oh, excuse me. What did you do in Berkeley?
In Berkeley, we ran for city council of the 5th district under the slogan, "Let's elect a real clown for a change."
And did you get elected?
No, but we got over 2,000 votes, and getting elected wasn't exactly what we had in mind. I mean, there would have gone every Tuesday for a couple of years. Meanwhile, when Ken Kesey came with his bus, and we loaded 100 pieces of media on the bus and set out towards the water supply, I knew that I didn't have much to worry about.
So what kind of future plans do you have for politics then?
Just say no's. And everybody who contributed to my campaign got a free nose. And we also advertised a rubber chicken in every pothole. Or how about some rubber pot in every chicken hole? Let's really get exotic.
Why not?
Why not? Yes, why not? Why not? Because some people like to control the photos of dead presidents. That's why not. It all has to do with greed and money, right? Otherwise, we would be smoking this stuff to our... It's just flowers, for heaven's sakes. What's wrong with smoking flowers? I ask you, sir.
Well, actually, it could be bad for pollination, couldn't it?
And not only that, it's very hard to pollinate when you're in jail. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200 for smoking some flowers. Come on, spare me. Give me a break.
But we know it's addictive, right? It's a gateway drug. Isn't it a gateway drug?
It's a gateway. If that's the gateway, where's the door?
Yeah.
I'd like a key to get in the door. Why are these people having so much fun? Officer!
Do you think we should make hemp maybe an industrial crop of some nature?
Well, yes, we could make an industrial crop of hemp. We could build machines, hemp machines. We could build hemp automobiles. We could build hemp. We could build houses of hemp. We could build universes of hemp.
Yeah.
Truth is what you could use. And hemp is a purveyor of so many different things. For fuel. Hi, my name is David Niven. we can make paper out of it. It makes extremely slick paper that they use in the best of Bibles on my mother's grave. Remember, death is Patrick Henry's second choice. That's just a little aside here.
And where do you see hemp in your future?
I see hemp in, well, certainly I would like to cover my Ford with hemp. And I have nostalgia for the future, as my friend Stephen Ben Israel so aptly put it. These are the good old days. This is when we're going to legalize it. The 90s or the 60s, standing on your head.
Amen. Now,
and women, too. We're from Berkeley, remember?
That's right, that's right. I see you brought a friend with you.
Oh, yeah, this is Kilgore, my pet trout. And he just minds my phone numbers, and
is this out of,
no big deal.
Is this out of where they had the XO?
Tune a piano, you can't tune a fish. What?
Oh.
It's stop fish from smelling, hold their noses. Yeah. This is what happens when you smoke this stuff, folks. It's much, so just make your papers and run your automobiles and just give me a hit every now and then. And like Hunter Thompson once said, when the going gets tough, the weird turn pro.
Yeah! Do you have a favorite song you want to share with our people out there who are tuning into this program?
Sure. Okay, I'm a hog farmer, and years and years of driving around these crazy painted buses, and everybody says, Well, you got to go over to that holler. Old Zeke knows where it's at. We'd drive over there and we'd ask Zeke where it's at, and we get sent something. We're driving around asking people where it's at. And this song is like if you take an arc of lights and if you put a match between two mirrors, as I said to the mirror the other morning, it's all done with people. And if you stick a match between two mirrors, you get an arc of lights that stretches to infinity. And this song is that arc of lights. And wouldn't it be neat if the people that you meet had shoes upon their feet and something to eat? And wouldn't it be fine now if all humankind had shelter? Basic human needs, basic human deeds, doing what comes naturally. Down in the garden where no one is apart, deep down in the garden of your heart. Now that's the chorus. Sing it with me. Basic human needs. Only a few of us, so we gotta do it with gusto. Basic human needs. Basic human deeds. Basic human deeds. Doing what comes naturally. Doing what comes naturally. Down in the garden. Down in the garden where no one is apart. Deep down in the garden. Deep down in the garden of your heart, the garden of your heart. And wouldn't it be grand if we all lent a hand so each one could stand on a free piece of land? And wouldn't it be thrilling if folks stopped their killing and started in tilling the land till they have basic human needs? Basic human needs. Basic human deeds. Doing what comes naturally down in the garden where no one is apart. Deep down in the garden, you know where, the garden of your heart. Here's the bridge. Not just churches, not just steeples, give me peoples, help in people. Help yourself and work out till the stars begin to shout. Thank God for something to do. Basic human needs. Basic human needs, yeah. Basic human deeds. Doing what comes naturally. Down in the garden where no one is apart. Deep down in the garden of your heart. Last verse. And wouldn't it be daring if folks started sharing instead of comparing what each other was wearing? And wouldn't it be swell if people didn't sell their Mother Earth basic human needs? Last time with gusto, basic human needs. Yeah! Basic human deeds. Doing what comes naturally. Yeah. Down in the garden where no one is apart. Deep down in the garden of your heart. Let's legalize it. Ow! Thank you.
Thank you, sir. this here.
Sure. No, I pay it off. It's been a pleasure to have shared with you too, Werner.
I don't know, Jack. It reminds me of another fellow I was telling about running for governor. He said, well, I'll be for you or against you, whichever helped you the most. Any government that tells you that the solution to a present-day problem is doubling the prison population over the next 20 years has its head stuck where it's never going to discover the 1,000 points of light of George Bush. My opinion. These people's idea of future full employment is to make half of us prison guards and the other half prisoners. This man is an alien. He's not a conservative, he's an alien. He and Ronald Reagan both. They are willing to imprison a whole generation of people to keep intact the petrochemical and pharmaceutical monopolies in this country, of which he's well vested in each. And I think he's a vampire. I don't think he's an American. I think he's a vampire willing to suck the life out of all us victims in order to remain powerful and in a powerful position. But let me take this opportunity right here. Wherever this gets shown, let me tell you something. I am pleased and honored to be in the presence of one of the most brilliant men in the United States.
This gentleman next to you,
the author of Emperor Wears No Clothes, and so much more than just an author. A researcher and a dedicated and diligent activist, and a man who I know for a fact is responsible for tens of thousands of people in this country being able to come out of the closet and stand up out of the darkness and stand up out of oppression and despair and lives of quiet desperation, and be able to point to the source of knowledge and the truth and the point of light that this man right here is personally responsible for putting together. I would not be where I am today were it not for Jack Hare, and I know that a lot of people would not be walking tall and with dignity and a sense of pride and a sense that they do no wrong by communicating with Mother Earth through the herb and in other fashions. And this man right here is responsible for as much of it as I know of. I'm sure other people deserve credit to have helped him out. But this man right here is one of the most brilliant people in the United States today, and I hope someday that this country and the people in it will reward him appropriately for what he's done for freedom and individuality and civil liberties and Mother Earth in this country. I want to take that opportunity right now.
Does that mean I got free grass for the rest of my life? If you
No, I was going to ask you. Hell no, I got to make profits, son.
That's what I'll do the rest.
I got to start buying
Hey, let me show you something you can take back and we can give you better photos. This is Mr. Henry Ford in 1941 with Popular Mechanics magazine showing off his car made from hemp.
Oh, is that when the whole car itself was made from hemp?
And it says so right there in Popular Mechanics, 1941. Is that nice? One more deal in the car. That's an I mean, they should have never let us find that one.
Oh man, that is let me tell you right now, this is not the case of a blind hog snuffing out an acorn every once in a while. This is dedication and intelligence. You know, I think Edison said that genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. This man right here has sweat his ass off for all.
Oh yes, he certainly has.
Thank you.
Well, I'll tell you, I had a lot of good teachers. And
Okay,
this man wrote a book that I read that was one of the, really, him, Michael Aldrich, had written some of the greatest work on hemp long before I even really understood hemp. He wrote it in '77. The Kentucky
Really?
the Kentucky, what was it?
Marijuana feasibility study.
Study. It was fucking blew my
I've
mind
heard
away.
about that, yeah.
It was by adding
That's
that and the prospectus. So he is not somebody who needs to come to me to learn about hemp. I learned a lot of my hemp from him.
I was born in it, Jack.
Since the year 2800 BC, when Emperor Shen Nung founded the science of Chinese medicine, wounds sustained in battle were bandaged in cannabis leaves. Today, doctors across the whole world are asking for the right to use cannabis as a treatment for pain, especially for cancer and AIDS.
I'm a cannabis user. I've been using cannabis since I was approximately 9 years old. I've had cancer 10 times. It first occurred in my spine when I was 2 years old. I had a spinal fusion which fused my first 5 vertebrae together. I went on to have it from 2 to 10, 9 times in 8 years. It occurred once again when I was 15. We treated it with radiational therapy. Through the years, I've gone through radiational therapy, chemotherapy, and numerous forms of surgery. And I stumbled upon cannabis once after radiational therapy use. It alleviated my dizziness and nausea, just the secondhand smoke, and it also increased my appetite. And Right now, I go around the world and I try to teach people about cannabis and its benefits and its usages, because I found it so beneficial in my situation.
Cannabis was also grown in the foothills of the Indian continent, today's Kazakhstan, Pakistan, Nepal and Kashmir. Having gathered the hemp harvest, Indian farmers used the water rotting process to break down the fibers, from which they made hemp flour, porridge or even popcorn. The seeds were also used for food and to make unsaturated oil.
Cannabis is dedicated to Kali, the Hindu goddess, with two faces, destruction and reincarnation. So cannabis has been completely integrated in religious life on the Indian continent. Cannabis is consumed in a religious way to show devotion to the goddess, as we do ourselves with wine in the Holy Communion of the Catholic Church. Cannabis is also consumed socially. Indeed, you cannot imagine a wedding or a baptism without cannabis on the Indian continent.
Hey man, try some of this. It's absolutely dynamite. Oh yeah?
The physical effects of marijuana.
The first sensations may be felt instantly after having smoked some grass, or an hour after having eaten it. Usually, you creep slowly into a stoned condition, inch by inch, sliding upward, but if you've eaten it, the effects may come upon you suddenly and strike you full force in the middle of a word.
In the 3rd century AD, the Roman Emperor Gallian encouraged cannabis use, which he thought would make his people happy. In a declining empire, the Romans turned increasingly to the Oriental gods, Mithras and Zoroaster. Christianity was gaining ground, partly because it incorporated elements of these Oriental religions, but not the use of cannabis.
The Roman Empire really went to war on hemp. The Roman Empire provides a very good example of the importance, the strategic importance, one might say, of hemp in any society in history. The Romans had hemp arsenals either side of the Alps. They had one in Ravenna and one in Vienna. And the procurator of hemp was a very important position in the Roman hierarchy. That is not to say that hemp was only used by the Romans to make war with. It had its place in all the aspects of hemp and all the aspects of fibers that you can imagine that it would have, i.e. it figured in clothing, shelter, food, defense, aggression, and medicine.
Hello, I'm Casper Leach, and thank you for taking time for hemp. Today we are very honored to have a special guest on our program. This gentleman has changed country music forever with his voice, with his style, and with his singing. He's also helped an awful lot of farmers across America with their plights and their heartaches. And he's also brought to the public a message of hemp legalization that is backing people in Kentucky, such as Gatewood Galbraith and their campaigns, to just conversations on a daily basis on how we should save our planet. Our special guest today is Willie Nelson. Willie, thank you very much for being a guest on our show.
Glad to be here.
Willie, you've had a chance to see firsthand the heartaches and the plights that our farmers are going through. And a lot of people in their offices and driving to and from their jobs in LA and New York and Chicago don't see the heartache that you've had a chance to witness. Could you share some of that?
Well, whenever I first started hearing about the farmers' problems, see, I was born in a farm community, in a farm town. A lot of my friends are farmers. So I started checking it out. I heard these horror stories about farmers getting foreclosed on and losing their farms, and bankers who were once friendly, now unfriendly. And I heard all these things, and I said, well, something's going on that I'm not aware of. So I started checking it out. And millions of farmers all over this country had been losing their farms at the rate of 1 million a year.
What, acreages?
Well,
1 million farms?
Farmers. And, you know, at one time there was 8 million working farmers in this country, American family farmers. Now we're down to probably less than 2 million. The big corporations, it's the old story of the big ones eating the little ones. And they're running the small farmer off the land. And when that happens, the farm town closes down. The first thing, the hospitals and the schools go. And then what happens is all these people are now unemployed. They move on to the next big city, which causes the same kind of problems in that city. I think that all the homelessness, alcoholism, insanity, all these things that we experience, unemployment in our country, can be traced back to the first time that the first American farmer was forced off his land when he was unable to make a living off of 100 or 200 acres of land. And the reason for it is because they have asked him, demanded or made it necessary that he raise a crop below what it costs him to raise it. Okay. He loses money on, for instance, if he, just example figures, for instance, if he were to, it costs him $2 to, or $3 to plant and raise and harvest a bushel of corn, and if he only gets $2.50 for that at the market, then he's losing. Right. And this is an accepted practice in American agriculture today, for the farmer to get less than what it costs him to grow. And they keep trying to justify it with subsidies and whatever. But the American farmer would rather go out here and work hard and make his money the hard way, the way he knows how to do it. Give him an acre, let him do what that acre can do. Let him do it without all the pesticides, without all the chemicals. Don't put his yield so low, his money so low, that he has to use every piece or every gallon of pesticides that he can find to pour on that acre of land in order to get enough money out to almost break even. Mm-hmm. They have forced him into this position. There are even banks who will not loan you any money at all unless you agree to use X amount of pesticides and chemicals on your land.
Oh, really?
Absolutely. Because they know that the only way you can make your payment is if you get so much off of that acre, and the only way you can get that much off of that acre is to keep pouring the chemicals to that 1 acre.
Wow. Now, when did you first become aware of hemp as a cash crop?
A couple of years ago I read a book I think that a lot of us have read by now called The Emperor Wears No Clothes, and it was in that book there was a reprint of an article. The one thing in that book that I saw that could not be argued with was an article that came out in 1938 edition of Popular Mechanics magazine, February edition, if anybody wants to go check it out, that said a new $1 billion crop for the farmers.
Do you think that farmers today would be receptive to growing hemp as a cash crop? Because of all the propaganda we've heard over the years, there are so many people now who believe that it's the evil weed. But we kind of figure it, because of all the products that it can create, that it could be a solution.
Well, definitely. I think most people that I talked to had no idea, just like me, that hemp and marijuana was the same thing. We were ignorant of that fact. Also, we were ignorant of the fact that hemp could be used as food. It can be used as clothing. The first Levi's in this country were made from hemp. The first Bibles were printed on hemp paper. The Declaration of Independence, the first 2 copies of this was printed on hemp paper. People don't know that.
Willie, now, that kind of like points to some of the things that we were talking about on the income that can be generated for the farms and saving the farms and so on. And we were talking about the difficulty of trying to reintroduce it to the economy. Where do you see hemp actually taking the farmers? If they were to start being allowed to grow it, do you think hemp in and of itself could be the crop that would save the farms for America?
In the state of Kentucky, when the leading agricultural crop there in 1937 was hemp. When they took that away from the farmers, it would be like taking wheat away from Kansas, cotton away from Texas, cattle, away from. It's just devastating what has happened to the farmers in that area since their leading agricultural crop, which, as we've all seen, is a very beneficial, and not only beneficial, necessary plant that the earth needs. If it wasn't supposed to be there, the big guy wouldn't put it there. You know, he didn't make no mistakes. So he put hemp here for a reason. One of the reasons, I believe, is that the root is like 10 to 12 inches long, which literally holds the planet together. Now, what happens when you eradicate a plant from the planet?
You have a lot of soil running loose.
If you check history, every civilization that has gone under since the beginning of time has gone under because of soil erosion and the inability of the people to be able to feed themselves. Now, is that a serious problem today? Look at Bangladesh.
Yeah, really
look at the places on the planet where hemp has been made illegal to grow. In the state of Iowa, that state in the last 100 years has lost over 50% of its topsoil.
Wow.
So we're talking about farming areas that are going down the drain because of some some very well-planned conspiracy to take the hemp plant off the planet to keep it from being competition to the other products that it would be competition to, your petrochemicals, your paper, all the textiles. Now, business is business, as they say, and anything is fair in love and war. But when you start taking something that valuable away from the planet, you're affecting other things other than just business associates. You're affecting our children who eat, and you're affecting yourself and me. We're taking food away from, healthy food away from our families, and we're taking the healthy soil away from our planet.
What do you think it would take to get the farmers to rally around this plant and to unite across the United States and say, give us the right to grow this plant so that we can start utilizing it for industrial purposes?
Well, the biggest problem is knowledge, education. I think this is the first thing that has to be done. The American farmer has to be made aware that 50 years ago this was a legal crop, and why was it taken away? I think he has to start asking himself, why is this hidden from me? Let his curiosity start growing. Why did my grandfather plant hemp, and why can I not plant hemp? Now, I've heard all about the big scare of the marijuana thing, but most people who have lived any length of time at all and have been around anything at all on this planet knows that if we have any serious problems in the world, which we do, marijuana is not one of them.
No, not really.
Not one of them. When you start listing our serious problems, it's way down on the list somewhere. And it might be even one of our greatest assets that has been disguised to make appear to be a bad guy. So I think what the farmer should do, and not only the farmer, every taxpayer out there, everybody who's affected, everybody who eats food, should start wondering, why are we so kept in the dark over this one plant, the hemp plant?
Do you get any slack or difficulty being a performer who advocates the relegalization of hemp? Do you?
I get into a lot of things that I get flack for.
Yeah, I know.
So it's hard to say where my flack's coming from.
Okay. We've had other people on the show ask their own contemporaries and peers to join the fight, and I was wondering if you could do that for us.
To say that again, I'm sorry.
We've had other guests ask their contemporaries and their peers in their fields to help us join the fight to re-legalization, to re-legalize hemp. I was wondering if you could,
I thought that's what we've been doing for the last 30 minutes.
Sometimes, yes, but people seem to miss the point.
Well, I think if they listen to what has been said on this program, if they watch the film that they have seen, if they watch the material that is made available to them, then let them make their own decisions. Let your conscience be your guide, as the old saying goes.
Do you think the government has had much to do with the downfall of the farmer?
Well, of course.
In what way?
Well, when our government puts out such agricultural policies that put our farmers out of business, then it's not hard to see where the problem is coming from.
Now, when you're out there working with the farmers side by side, do you have an opportunity to witness ways that we, people who are not involved with the farm communities on a daily basis, those of us who are driving to and from work, stuck in our offices, what can we do to help the farmer overcome this misery? They've been together as our backbone forever.
There's a great plan that just I became aware of it here a year or so ago, last year in fact. The farmers have come up with this idea themselves. It's called parity giving. For instance, if you're a rich guy, you got millions of dollars, you want to do something for the poor, the hungry people, you would buy direct from the farmers, pay them a certain price. For instance, for corn, if you buy $1 million worth of corn from the farmers and pay them $3 a bushel, whatever the market price is, then you would be able to write off, you give it to the hungry, you give it to the poor people. Then you would write off what is considered a parity price, or a fair market price, which would be in the neighborhood of around $7. So you would get to charge, you buy it for $3 and get to write off $7. So this would be a great benefit not only to the guy with money who wants to help, to the farmer who gets his product sold, and also to the people out there who are hungry, who needs the food. It's really ridiculous for people to be starving to death on this planet when there's a lot of food available.
Now that sounds like something that's affordable for a lot of us to do. If you're looking at like $3 a bushel as an example, you might be able to put out like 10 bushels. Is there any way of contacting?
Well, this is something that has to be introduced through legislation into Congress. There has to be a vote on it.
It hasn't happened yet.
And it's happening now. It's being written up and getting ready. And we're just trying to call attention to it and make everybody aware of it out there, that when they hear the word parity giving, that they'll know what they're talking about.
Well, should we encourage people then to write on a local level to their representatives, or on
and
a
if
national
they,
level?
and tell their local politicians what's going on, that there is a parity giving program being announced and legislature being drawn up, and to be on the lookout for it, check it out, and see how it will help the farmers in your area.
Are there other programs that Americans can get involved with in helping the farmer overcome
Well,
this?
of course, Farm Aid is still alive and well, and we're planning Farm Aid 5, and it looks like it will be at the LA Coliseum.
Yay.
And on November 30th of this year, Thanksgiving weekend.
Excellent timing.
Yeah, it is excellent timing, and it will be a good chance for anyone who wants to help the American farmer to do so.
Yeah, I hope I get a chance to be there for that one. If you had the opportunity to express yourself at any one point in time to the American people and deliver the message of the farmer, what would you say?
Well, first of all, the fact that you're able to do this television show, and I'm here talking on it, and as people are able to watch it on their television, it means that this idea has come. It's time for people to consider it and make a decision, one way or another. And it's a question you have to ask yourself. Is it important? Is the planet worth saving? Can hemp really save the planet? If it can, why is it kept such a secret from us? Ask yourself these questions, call around, do some research, and make your own conclusions.
I tell you, we are facing a world that needs medicines, we are facing a world that needs food, and we are facing a world that's rather stubborn when it comes to dealing with the topic of drugs. They seem to overlook the fact that marijuana is a legal plant, a hemp plant that can be grown for, as we've said, paper, fiber, and fuel. We have people overseas who are growing it for just that. Is there anything that we can learn from our brothers and sisters overseas, do you think, that would help reintroduce us into our economy?
Well, you must remember that our brothers and sisters overseas are controlled by the same people who control us here. Their planting habits. Hemp is illegal on many parts of the planet, and it's been made illegal by the same people who made it illegal here. The oil companies, the petrochemical people who are the paper industries, the people who own trees on this planet, who would rather see us chop down the trees and make paper rather than use hemp, which could save all the trees. There's a lot of opposition here, so this is a war that we're just on the beginning stages of, and there will be opposition from a lot of people. There'll be a lot of people throwing a lot of accusations at you, at me, so you better be ready for it.
Do you think the Trilateral Commission has something to do with what might be going on with the hemp plant?
Well, not being a member of that august society, I wouldn't know, but I have heard rumors that it's probably not even called that anymore. So by the time you start checking out one thing, they've changed it to something else.
Okay, because I've often wondered, because of the connection overseas of a lot of our laws and regulations.
Anywhere hemp is grown, it's a threat to the petrochemicals. It's a threat to synthetic energy. So naturally, it's going to be a battle to be fought.
Willie, it has been a joy to have you on our program today. You know, to have the honor of you coming in here and speaking on behalf of the farmers. I mean, you have a voice of authority, you know, because you've seen it and you've been there. And we want to wish you all the luck in what you're doing. Is there any place that anybody can write or get in contact if they want to get and participate in farm aid, or if they want to find some way of helping the farmers in their states? Is there any organizations that you can think of that might benefit from?
There are many organizations. Farm aid funds many different organizations, agricultural movements in all the states, all the areas, and it's very simple to find out who in your area represents the farmers, the Farmers Alliance or whatever. There's many organizations, and you can look in your phone book or ask your neighbor and find out who. Or you can also call 1-800-FARM-AID.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Again, I want to thank you all for tuning in to enjoy this program called Time for Hemp. We realize that sometimes we walk on the edge, but our purpose here is to educate and to help free the victims from their pains and their plights. So the next time that you have the opportunity to sit down with a little time on your hands, pick up a piece of paper and pencil, write your congressperson, write your senators, write the president, write the vice president, get up off your fannies and get out that door and go actually do something physical to make this world a better place. I hope that you've had the opportunity to enjoy the benefits of hemp in your life in various fashions, and I hope that the next time you see me, you'll know that it's time for hemp. Thank you very much. I'll see you next time.
Cause it hurts the environment. Stop deforestation, yes, it's time for hemp. Whoa, an acre of hemp makes 20 barrels of oil. No need for pesticides to poison all our soil. People got no food, they got no clothes, they got no rent.
Marijuana was known in America as reefer or grass. Within a few years, reefer songs spread widely from the music clubs which had appeared everywhere where the immigrant black community settled.
Have you ever met that funny reefer man? Have you ever met that funny reefer man?
Along with new developments in the hemp industry and a growing awareness of the dangers of alcohol, marijuana began to be the subject of interest in the corridors of political power.
In 1911, New Orleans, and then Louisiana and Mississippi, and a couple of states along the Mississippi River outlawed marijuana.
Meanwhile, alcohol was increasingly being seen as a danger to society. American women lobbied for alcohol to be banned. They succeeded with prohibition, which led to illegal speakeasies, the proceeds of which enriched criminals and resulted in violence and gang warfare. Alcohol was legalized again in 1933.
Then all of a sudden alcohol was becoming legal again, and all these agents didn't have anything to do, and Harry Anslinger thought, well, we should have a law against hemp, and so did William Randolph Hearst, and so did DuPont, and the three companies got together, and other people claiming the cotton industry joined in to outlaw hemp because it was making a huge comeback. And the reason it was making a huge comeback is that it took 200 to 300 hours to plant, harvest, and make ready for fiber acre of hemp. But all of a sudden, in the 1930s, that 200 or 300 man-hours per acre went down to 1 man-hour per acre. It was a better fiber than any other fiber and previous hemp fibers. And that was the beginning of the end of all fibers, as being the only synthetic. Nylon which was the new synthetic, would have to make way for the reintroduction of hemp as an inexpensive fiber, as well as the strongest, the best, the longest lasting, and the softest fiber. The government of the United States outlawed a fiber and forced the rest of the world to swallow it. They swallowed the outlawing of the #1 fiber on Earth for 10,000 years until the 1930s, and then they outlawed it completely.
China, the hemp country, was part of the Japanese plan for military conquest.
But in official Tokyo, seat of an empire which for nearly a decade has been governed by its stern and ruthless military caste, there is more activity, more secret comings and goings than in many a year. The little men who command the world's third largest navy see in the South Pacific the richest of all colonial prizes. The Philippines, a group of 7,091 Pacific islands which, still under the protection of the U.S. flag, constitute the only major hazard to Japanese plans for new conquest in the war year of 1940. Already one important island industry, the growing and processing of Manila hemp, is almost entirely under Japanese control. And within the past few years, by intensive cultivation, Japanese immigrant farmers have increased production of the one cash crop which has long been a virtual Philippine monopoly.
The invasion of the two big hemp-producing countries, China and Philippines, was the start of hemp rationing. Hitler was also aware of the strategic importance of hemp, which was used in the making of canvas and ropes, both of which were an essential part of his war effort. In 1941, when the German army invaded Russia, it blocked Britain's supply of Russian hemp. Germany managed to develop her own hemp production, but the cultivation of this fiber, which had become so necessary in wartime, was still banned in Great Britain. In 1942, the German troops reached the center of Russia. The land continued to produce hemp, which enabled Hitler to move confidently to the next stage of his plans for the Reich. To safeguard its own supplies of hemp, Great Britain urged India to increase production. Meanwhile, war was spreading to Japan.
Within little more than a year, Japan, successfully employing once again the deceit and treachery which had so well served her in the past, had taken the final desperate plunge.
When Japan bombed Pearl Harbor, forcing the United States of America to declare war, Americans realized they were cut off from their hemp supplies. The U.S. Navy was totally dependent upon hemp for rot-resistant ropes for their ships and for many other components. The American government then decided to redevelop their hemp industry. Marijuana was legalized again and farmers received seeds. A propaganda film called Hemp for Victory was then made to encourage this war effort.
restore hemp.
Hemp will save the world.
I still remember how you bailed me out of jail, busted down in Portland town, riding on the rail. It was not our first close call, nor would it be our last, running around old Portland town in the days gone past. It was a conspiracy against our underground. For what they did not know, they had to bring us down. 300 souls in prison cells when they'd done their rounds that night in Portland town. When they brought us down, well, there's no more tears. They're all gone, and all our fears have traveled on. And there's no regrets for the time we spent. The good and bad both came and went. I have not forgotten how you were there for me when I was a prisoner. You came to set me free. After 14 days in Rocky Butte, Multnomah County Jail, till you could raise the cash to pay my bail. Well, there's no more tears, they're all gone. Still remember how you bailed me out of jail, busted down in Portland town, riding on the rail.
That's beautiful. I take it you will reprise that again tomorrow.